From the hosts that brought you Fraternize with These Guys, Bleach Bros Podcast, and the Dads on Dayquil comes a show full of raunchy and hilarious content. Hosted by the Plumptable shirtless man who is oft mistaken for a chupacabra, Beezy.
Hard to pass up breakfast and head.
Connoisseur of boobies and subies, B-word.
What did you call it? A swamp what?
A swamp gopper.
You'll often find him in the Hateful Gnomes music hut, Jordan, a.k.a. the Gnome.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why women shouldn't drive.
From the Stoned Safe House, AJ, a.k.a. the Stoned.
I got like a fucking 4-footer bong. And I'm like, can anyone help? Can you put your saber on that end?
Subscribe to Raunchy Regret Podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Or check out their other content at linktr.ee/Raunchy Regret.
Boy, you know what time it is.
Welcome to the Bromigos Podcast.
I need it!
Hey, how are you?
Perfect.
This is amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bromigos Podcast. We are here in New Jersey doing what we do, you know. I am your host, Daint Money.
Hoochie, holding it down, as always.
Oh, it's your boy, the Undercover Brother. I didn't expect you to start with the accent.
Sometimes you've got to listen when you grow up around a lot of Indians like I do. Sometimes you just pick up on the dialect and you just got to do what you've got to do. You know, they do not change.
How much cream? How much sugar?
A little bit of cream, not too much sugar. Little bit of cream. Don't put too much. Don't put too much.
And what do you say when somebody leaves?
Never know. I'm not doing that.
Got him.
That's gonna get me canceled.
What hasn't gotten you canceled at this point?
Thank you. Come again.
Oh
Okay,
man.
Okay, beta. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Okay. Matt wanted me to start off with a story. So Matt came to see me in my men's league game the other day. By far worst game I played all season. I still think I scored double digits, but it was, it just wasn't one of them games for me, But it wasn't one of those games because the resurrection of Malcolm X decided to put on the stripes. And I'm sorry, not Malcolm X, Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King, yes.
This dude, man, when I tell you for the past year and a half I've been playing in this men's league, I've been wanting to choke this motherfucker out. Like, dead ass, put both, just kill him. He was making some calls.
Assassinate again.
Yeah,
resurrected the next time.
part 2. Exactly. This was not the dream, but he is by far one of the worst referees I have ever had on a basketball court. This dude was just making up calls, and I got my first technical foul. I don't even know why I got the first technical foul for. I don't even remember what I said.
I think because again, I was at this game. First of all, to back up your story, this motherfucker was calling nothing, and if he was calling anything, it was for the other team, blatantly for the other team. He was calling touches out of bounds that were clearly on the white team, and trust me when I say they were all white.
A bunch of old white dudes, yes.
A bunch of old white dudes you guys were facing, and then I just don't understand this guy's thought process. Like the other ref was solid. He was cool.
He was cool.
He was calling what needed to be called, but the fucking geriatric looking ass Martin Luther King, I have a dream, and my dream was fucking getting Daint off the court by any means motherfucking necessary.
Yeah, I've had beef with that dude for going on a year and a half now. He just, as a coach and as a player, I know that no ref is perfect. Players are going to argue over calls, coaches argue over calls. Refs just don't want to be wrong. And I do not like referees that can't accept the fact that they made a mistake. If you missed a call, you missed a call. But if someone calls you out on it, don't get all defensive. Be like, yeah, don't talk to me like that.
That was the first tech you got, I think, because you spoke up about it, and I think that's where the first tech came in.
Yeah. Like, nowadays refs be getting all in their feels, and I just think it makes for bad basketball. It really does, because then you got guys like me who I'm like, all right, bet I can't play regular defense. They weren't letting me play defense. And they kept calling me on bullshit ass fouls. And I'm like, yo, we got 5 dudes. I foul out. This game is over. So it's like, then I had to change up my entire approach to the game. And then at the same time, my teammates were barely passing me the ball, as you saw. And it started to piss me off, because I'm like, yo, we got 5 dudes out here.
But the thing is, you were driving to the court. Like, every time you had the ball, you were trying to get the layup. And even then, you were getting fouled blatantly, by the way. And they still didn't call shit on you.
Didn't call anything. Didn't call it. The dude, he was guessing on calls, making shit up. It was killing me, man. Like, I thought it was freaking Tim Donaghy out there. He was making bets on the game, making sure I got my under, not my over. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. My man's definitely bet the under, so, I I also blame my friend Johnny, because every single time Johnny is at the games, the 2 times he was, I got ejected. So, fuck you, Johnny.
This is not the first time you've gotten ejected.
No, it's not the first time I got ejected. No, I've never been ejected out of a game as a player when I was really playing, but I've been ejected from 2 men's league games this year alone. And, I know I'm intense, I'm passionate, but sometimes some of these refs, they're bad. They're blatantly terrible, and they need help. Help me.
The second time you got the tech, though, was for a reasonable reason why you were upset.
Yeah,
and I missed it initially, because in real time I might have missed the movement of, because you said you got elbowed in the neck, right?
Yeah, I was basically
you were trying to go for a dive for a play.
I was going for a loose ball, going for the ball, and the dude just flailed his arm back. And I know it's like, you're going for a loose ball, shit happens, but I mean, going for a loose ball, your elbow just doesn't go back like that. And his elbow connected straight in my larynx. It was bad. It hurt. And I was like, yo, like, you just not, I don't know how you're not paying attention. It's a loose ball situation, a live ball situation. This means you got to pay attention and see what's going on. If I get hit and I go to the ground, you need to call something. So, yeah, it was just one of those situations where, and the ref, I was hearing him talk the whole time. He was getting in his feels, like he was inbounding the ball to me at one point.
He was upset. He was upset.
Because honestly, my boss was giving him a lot of shit the whole game. And then he was.
I heard that too.
Yeah, he was like, y'all ain't gonna talk to me like that. I'm like, my nigga, you're 70 years old, acting like a 13-year-old bitch. Grow up. But yeah, the thing I was most mad about was that I was barely touching the basketball, and then that's why I was driving so much, trying to get to the line, create fouls. It wasn't happening.
No, this motherfucker taking care of the calls. No.
Yeah, no. It just wasn't gonna happen that day. So, my 20 point per game streak has ended. It's fine. We move on. We go to the next thing, and it is what it is. You know what I mean?
So, speaking of basketball, there's been a lot of stories going on the last few days. The biggest one has been Mr. Adrian Griffith, no longer the Bucks head coach, which. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck is going on with that. I don't know how anybody fires a head coach when they're actually, what is it? They're second in the East, first in the East right now?
Yeah, they're second in the East right now. They were at 30-13. I think they won the other night, so they're probably 31-13 right now. This is my explanation, my hypothesis when it comes to the Bucks situation right now, right? First of all, I said this a couple weeks ago. I said Adrian Griffith is about to get fired. It was bound to happen. I said it.
You didn't say this on the show. I ever remember that.
No. I said this in passing during the in-season tournament to a couple of people I was talking about the game with. And when you see the Bucks play, they don't play with the same fire on defense. They have one of the worst defenses in the entire league. I think they're ranked 23rd, 22nd in the league right now. And that's strictly because they got rid of their best defender. Giannis is great. But he can only do but so much inside. He can't guard on the outside. His blocks come from, chase downs, or, if they're in a post-up situation, he might get the block or whatever. But losing Drew Holiday was huge for this team. I said it when it happened. I really thought giving up Drew Holiday for Damian Lillard changed the entire identity of that team to being great offensively and defensively, to being strictly an offensively minded team. And I think what Adrian Griffith was trying to do was create an offensive scheme that was going to work out for both Dame and Giannis. Clearly, it did not in their eyes. But if you look at their record, 30-13, shoot, any other coach that has a 30-13 record in the East, they keeping their job. What I think the issue was when you have superstar players, when they get to a certain point in their career, they're that guy. They tend to get a big head and think that everything revolves around them, that everything has to go through them. That's like the LeBron effect thing. When LeBron goes places, we all know he has a lot of say so in the things that go on in the organization. He's the best player in the world, best player of our generation. I think that at some point, Adrian Griffith wanted to get rid of Thanasis. I truly believe that. I've always felt like Thanasis is holding up a roster spot. Let's be honest here. He's not a good NBA basketball player. And when he plays internationally, he's not a good international basketball player. He is strictly playing professional basketball because of his brother. Let's keep it a bean. Let's keep it a bean. He's playing pro ball because of his brother. He's on the Bucks because of his brother, and he's holding up a valuable roster spot. Because to me, you're telling me you can't find a good locker room guy cheaper? Somebody that might have been part of a championship team, somebody who gets in and can give valuable minutes. The dude barely plays. I think he averages less than 3 points a game. He's not a valuable asset to a championship basketball team, and that's fact. That's fact. But the biggest issue I see with the Bucks right now, you hire Doc Rivers?
Oh, God.
Doc Rivers?
See, that I didn't understand. I was like, first, I put out a tweet on the Bromigos account. I'm sure you guys might have seen it, but it went along the lines of at least we don't have to hear Doc sound like he's got a dick in his mouth on commentary anymore.
Yeah.
I hate Doc on commentary. I do. I cannot listen to him speak. And the fact that they hired someone with a proven record of failure, constant failure, mind you, whether it's, I forgot what other, because I know he was on the Celtics. I think he might have won with the Celtics at one point, or am I wrong with that?
It was
so he won with the Celtics. Okay.
That 2008 championship is what continuously gets Doc Rivers jobs. But all I want to know is, how many naked pictures of front office execs does Doc Rivers have? Because he has to have something that continuously gets him jobs. What most people don't even know, he was a consultant to Adrian Griffith during his 43-game tenure with the Bucks. And that clearly shows me that they were grooming Doc to take his job.
But I don't understand how he got the job anyway, because Hunter, you can attest this more than anybody with his work that he did for the Sixers. Like, how the fuck do you have the runs that he has with the Sixers, and he still gets a job for arguably one of the best teams, if not the best team in the East right now? And how do we not expect him to implode this team?
I think at this point in the season, they're about halfway. They're near the All-Star festivities.
All-Star is almost coming up. I got a lot to say about that.
It's all about who's available, and if someone like Doc Rivers is available, rather than getting someone else from some other part of the town or country, wherever, someone like Doc Rivers, with as accomplished as he is good in the regular season. Don't get me wrong; he can get your team to the playoffs, but can't get past the second round for some reason. But he was best available, so that's why they did what they did. But $40 million. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of bread, man. And in terms of Doc's career as a coach, it's, in my opinion, it's been absolute failure. I just don't see how you have a team with championship pedigree and you want Doc Rivers as your coach. He has failed time and time and time again. And over the course of his coaching career, I personally do not think that any coach has coached more superstar Hall of Fame players and done absolutely nothing with those guys. The reason why that 2008 team was so good was because of their defense. Who ran the defense? Tom Thibodeau, not Doc Rivers, because we know historically Doc Rivers' teams are not good defensively. Why do you think he's lost so many 3-1 leads? He lost a 3-1 lead with the Orlando Magic in 2003. Mind you, that same year, I think it was the year beforehand or it was that year, the year beforehand, the Orlando Magic wanted to get Tim Duncan. It was possible. Why didn't they get Tim Duncan? Tim wanted to have his mother or other family members come with him on the team bus or the team plane. Doc Rivers didn't allow that. That never went through. Could you imagine having a prime Tim Duncan and Tracy McGrady in the Eastern Conference? That changes the entire landscape of basketball. He denied that. Then you go into his tenure with the Celtics. When he was first with the Celtics, they were ass. They weren't good at all. They didn't get good until they got Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. That's what made that championship team a championship team. Then he gets the job with Lob City. He was with Lob City for 6 years. They went nowhere. Now, yeah, you can attest it to injuries or whatever. 2014, they were healthy. 2013, they were healthy. They went nowhere. Lost a 3-1 lead both times. Lost a 3-1 lead in 2013 to, I think he lost it to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then 2015, he loses a 3-1 lead to the Rockets.
Now, when you say Lob City, who are you referencing? Because I never heard that. Clippers. Okay, Clippers. I remember. Okay, I had a feeling it was the Clippers, but I just wanted to make sure.
Let's run down the players that he has coached: Tracy McGrady, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Rajon Rondo, Ray Allen, Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, Jamal Crawford, James Harden, Joel Embiid. Now he's got Dame. Now he's got Giannis. My man, how many superstar players, how many Hall of Fame caliber players can you have and don't win? Don't win. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. He's coached all of these guys in the last 10 years. And they've gone nowhere. Nowhere. Not even sniffed an Eastern Conference final. Not even sniffed a Western Conference final. Last time Doc was in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think it was 2012. That was the last time. The last time he reached a conference final. And that team was old. That was old Paul Pierce, old KG. I don't even think any of those dudes were all-stars that year.
And this is why that we refer to you when we have these discussions, because you so eloquently put it in a way where it's basically saying Doc Rivers is ass, but providing all the facts that need to be said to prove that Doc Rivers is ass.
I don't want to say the dude is ass, but his track record hasn't shown that he's a championship level coach. I just don't think he is. With that kind of talent, I don't see how you don't at least get to a conference final at all. And Philly fans love to, Ben Simmons is mental health. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit?
That dude not even playing in Brooklyn.
He's barely, and it's
is he not playing in Brooklyn? Because I know Knicks just beat them recently.
So now he's still hurt. He hasn't played at all this season. So it's an ongoing thing with Doc Rivers. But I'll tell you this: if Doc Rivers does not get to the Eastern Conference Finals with this team this year, fire his ass on the spot. Fire him, because I don't want to hear that. Oh, he needs a full season. You do not need a full season. You don't. If you're a good coach, I firmly believe you can step in there, coach your guys, have them ride your back to the championship. I think you can do that.
The Bucks are 30-13. They're okay.
Yeah,
like they're not going to decline so drastically.
This kind of reminds me back in what was it, like 2016, I think. Cleveland fired David Blatt, and they were at the top of the East. Meanwhile, Sixers were all the way at the bottom, and they gave Brett Brown.
Hello.
They gave him a contract extension. Whoever the Sixers coach was at the time, might have been Brett Brown or something.
It was Brett Brown at that time.
Yeah.
It was Brett Brown at that time, and it's funny because I actually met Brett Brown summer 2017, and I had asked him, I was like, "Yo, coach, what's the team looking like this year?" He's like, "Oh, we're gonna be all right. I think we got a good shot at this year." And back in my mind, I was like, "Nigga, you ain't winning shit."
And obviously they didn't win shit.
They ain't winning shit, man. It's I do feel bad for Philly fans because you got all this talent and you don't win. You don't go anywhere. And since we're on the topic of the Sixers and everything, I got to show some love to Joel Embiid. 70 points in a game is great. It's great. But I want people to understand where I'm coming from when I talk about Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is a great regular season basketball player. Amazing. Regular season, Hall of Famer. Postseason, below average. Below average. Why? And I got into an argument with a Philly fan about this the other day, and I'm going to break it down for you.
And me and Hunter were getting into an argument about it over Twitter.
About the best of the best. The best of the creme de la creme. Now, Joel Embiid is in that conversation. He's won an MVP. He's the second best center in the league. He deserves to be in that conversation. But when you want to be in the conversation of the greats, you're going to be compared to what the other greats have done before you, or the greats that are currently playing at this time. When I compare him to Nikola Jokic, you could talk about the head-to-head matchups, blah, 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 all you want to. Joel Embiid has done nothing in his career in the postseason. No Eastern Conference Finals. No championships. I thought last year's MVP, they just gave it to him because Jokic had won 2 years in a row. And it was, voters didn't want to give it to Jokic again. Cool, understandably. Understandably so. Jokic won a finals MVP and a championship. So when you compare great players, yes, you're going to be compared to other great players. It's not the same criteria for everybody. It's harder now. He's won an MVP. What's the next step? Win a championship. If he does not win a championship, Joel Embiid is going to be in the same conversation as the Barkleys, the Karl Malones, the Patrick Ewings, the big men that never got a championship. It's not hate. It's just the realism when it comes to the game. Because when we look at the greats, the greatest of all time, MVPs are awesome. It comes down to those rings, man. It comes down to the rings. And if you're not prepared for that type of criticism when you're doing all this great stuff during the regular season and you don't win, then this is what happens. Look at the amount of free throws that dude took in his 70-point game. He took 23, made 21. You're not shooting 23 free throws in the playoffs. And I say this, did I not say this 2 years ago? Did I not say this last year about Joel Embiid? He doesn't get the same calls in the playoffs, so he doesn't score like he usually does, and he's not as effective. And who else does the same thing? James Harden. What other player do we critique about his playoff performances compared to the regular season? James Harden. James got an MVP, multiple scoring titles, multiple assist titles. No chips. No chips. You can say Dwayne Wade's better. Some people say he is, some people say he isn't. Dwayne ain't got no MVPs, but he got 3 rings and a finals MVP. That's the game, man. That's the game.
See, this is where me and Hunter were kind of like disagreeing a little bit because I was going off the conversation you and I had on Monday after the game. And I'm sitting here like, he's not going to get the opportunity to go to the line that much in the playoffs. He's not. And the fact it's cool that, it's cool he hit the 70-point games, but 21 of those points came from free throws. First of all, he must be incredible at making free throws because
he's a great free throw shooter.
Most bigs I know don't make free throws all that well. Let's be honest. So that's great that he made all those free throws and got the 70-point game, but it's like, it's not going to happen in the playoffs. It's not. I agree with you on that point of view, but it's still an impressive feat. I don't deny that one bit. Stats are stats. Anytime
you get a Wilt record, I got to give you props because Wilt got hundreds of records that still haven't been broken yet. Nobody is touching 50 points per game. Nobody is touching 100 points in a game. It just can't happen. It can't happen. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I really don't. I know a lot of people think it is.
Not in our lifetime.
No, because if you look at it, there are guys getting 40, 50, 60 points, right? But they making like 6 to 8 3-pointers to do it. All the threes that Steph Curry makes and takes, he's never touched 70. He's never touched 80 because even though it's more points, it's not the most efficient shot in the world. You look at the great scorers when they have big nights, where are most of their points coming from? Inside of the mid-range. Inside the mid-range. Jordan scores 69 points, and I think he made like 1 3-pointer, 1 or 2.
Hunter, what's your opinion on this? Because you're the Sixers fan. You're the Embiid fan here. Like, I want to know what your point of view on the whole thing is.
Well, the best way to describe it is that he is the NBA version of Dak Prescott. Great in the regular season, phenomenal, MVP caliber season. Playoffs, nothing. There's nothing there. But my main issue is that people were trying to discredit Embiid's 70-point game because of the free throws, and it's like, at this point, you should probably know who Joel Embiid is, how he gets points, and how he plays. Okay, he draws a lot of fouls. Okay. And I don't know why people are just complaining the whole time, like, oh, he gets calls. It's like, me, I see it as just don't foul the guy, let him take the shot. If he misses, he misses. If he makes it, he makes it. That's just my view on it, because you said 21 free throws in that 70-point game. Remember when Giannis scored 60, 64 in the early bit of the season against the Pacers? But everyone remembers that because of the basketball thing. He had 24 free throws in that. 24 out of 32 free throws in that game. Not a whisper about that, other than from Sixer fans, which it's like, if you're going to discredit Embiid's 70-point game because of his free throws, you should discredit Giannis's game because of his free throws. That's just my view on it. But you do have to perform better in the postseason, and Embiid's he's got to work on that, because they're not going to give you the calls. They're going to let you play more physical, more aggressive style of basketball. But we'll see what Nick Nurse and the Sixers do with Tyrese Maxey. And for the love of God, Tobias Harris, please do something worthy on the court. You're getting paid $140 million. Now, I'll give credit where credit's due. You're playing basketball unlike Ben Simmons, but you need to play better basketball for the contract that you have.
I
Tobias
agree.
Harris over me?
I agree.
Yeah.
But, when you talk about the free throws, this is my issue with the free throws. And I watch Giannis play. I watch Embiid play. I watch the kind of fouls that they get. And I can't blame them. They're not the ones making the calls. But the issue I have with the game today, which is something that they've tried to change, especially with the pump fake and stepping in to get a foul kind of thing. Too many guys now are trying to get fouls rather than trying to score. I've said this about Embiid for years. Dude falls to the ground too much. You're falling to the ground too much, my boy. And I know it's to prevent injury or blah, blah, but you look soft. And a lot of the calls he gets I saw him get a call the other day against Orlando. He's driving from the free throw line, puts his arm out on the defender, and he falls, and the dude got a blocking foul. That doesn't make any sense to me. And it's like the league is trying to cater to these superstars so much that I think it's diluting the game of basketball. Because now, especially when I'm coaching, I see these guys, these kids, man, they don't want to get fouled. They're either baiting guys into getting fouls, which I think is absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. You want to score, but don't do the let me pump fake on a dude and then let me fade away and still think I'm gonna get a call. Don't go inside and try to do some crazy reverse layup and try to avoid a guy, and you get, someone blows you a kiss. You're like, oh, it's a foul. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's bad for the game of basketball, because now you have guys that they're not looking to score. They're just looking to get fouls and get easy points at the line. There's nothing wrong with getting to the free throw line, but how are you getting these calls? What kind of calls are you getting when you go to the rim? And that's always been a thing in the past, I'd say 5-6 years of the game. And I think it's really diluting the game. You're seeing a lot more scoring. You know why? Because guys can't play defense anymore. They're not allowed to.
Or they won't play defense.
Yeah, you're not allowed
they
to
either
play.
Can't or they won't. And
Yeah,
I think it's bad for the game overall, because I mean, yeah, high scoring games look good on paper, but like look at the game last night look at the game last night with the Lakers and the Bulls. Like, how many fucking points were scored in that game? Like almost 300 some odd points. Like, come on, man. Y'all know what defense is? That's an NBA All-Star fucking game score.
Yeah.
For real. I'm being honest here. I know it's your team. I don't want to talk shit, especially on Kobe Day here, but it's bullshit. Play some fucking defense, for Christ's sake.
I agree. I'm with you. I've always felt like the Lakers get too many calls. They get a lot of foul calls, and they always get it against the younger teams. They always get it against the younger teams. I don't know who said it the other day, but I think it was Shannon Sharp who said, when the Lakers play against the old dogs, it might have been Gil. When they play against the old dogs, they play great. But when they play against those young teams, they get us every time. We got smacked by Brooklyn last week. Smacked us. We had an early lead and we lost it. Why? Because we old. We're old. I like LeBron James. He's done great things in LA, but I'll be honest with you, man. And I think there's a real reason why a lot of people get upset when people talk about his tenure with the Lakers. You're like, oh, yes, he's putting up great stats. It's amazing that he's doing this at 39 years old. I'm not discounting any of that, but I look at it for the face value. You're a Los Angeles Laker. When you're a Laker, we expect winning. That's just what it is. It's Tinseltown. Yeah, we want Showtime. Yeah, we want Flash, but we want rings. We want rings. Kobe got 5. Shaq got 3. Derek Fisher got 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, Bron has 1. That's great. But for a Laker, it's not enough. It's just not enough.
It's not up to par.
It's not. And I'm not blaming Bron. But that's the moniker you get when you play for the Lakers.
And it doesn't help too that they're a team where it's like, we need to win now. It's not like Golden State where, okay, we draft a bunch of these young guys and then wait a couple years for them to, progress, get better with their game. And then look at what Golden State's doing. Golden State.
Yeah, they created a dynasty for a better part of like 5 years.
Yeah. Shai Gilly's in, by the way. Shai Gilly's in.
I love basketball. I love the game, but the way the game is being played now is bad. Is bad. And from a coach's perspective, these kids got to get in the gym more. They got to work on their fundamentals more.
Wemby looks like fucking Gumby.
Yeah, I got I got
motherfucker looks like a Gumby looking ass with how lanky he looks. Same thing with Chet Holmgren too.
Yeah, and the thing is that kids will look at these guys play, right, and they mimic them. Why? Because they're the best of the best. But they see the product and they don't see the production. You know what I'm saying? They don't see the work. All they see is, oh, Steph Curry, he made 7 of 9 3-pointers. So I'm gonna go into the game and shoot 9 3-pointers. When you can't even make 2 in practice, you can't even make a layup wide open with no defense. You can't even make a simple crossover into a dribble pull-up. A lot of these kids don't know how to do the simple stuff. And I think that's where I'm really getting upset at how the game is going now, because we're going away from teaching fundamentals. And this is in all sports, but we're going away from teaching fundamentals and everybody wants to go straight to the bag. That's what trainers are doing now. Everything's got to be bag work, and nothing but working against cones. I'm sorry, but for any kid that grows up playing basketball, doing cone work is not enough. That's not a real defender. And the thing is that when they get into games, they think live defense is like a cone. So they get the ball and do 4 or 5 different combo moves and go absolutely nowhere. And they think, oh, that's what Kyrie does. That's not what Kyrie does. Kyrie dribbles and goes somewhere. Steph Curry dribbles and goes somewhere. They dribble with a purpose. They're not just going into their bag just because. You know what happens when they hot? Steph might have 30 points. And he's like, all right, let me go tween behind the back, step back and bang it. Yeah, but he hits that shot. But earlier this week, Steph Curry probably made 1,000 3-pointers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
In practice, he shot 3,000, made 1,500. That's why he hit that shot. And that's why he scored 30. Not because he stepped into the gym and was like, oh, I'm gonna shoot 10 threes today. No, you got to work for that. You got to get to that point.
And the other problem is, and you and I were talking about this on Monday, a lot of these kids don't have the heart to even keep playing. They have a little bit of adversity in their in whatever is going on in their lives, and then it's, coach, I can't play anymore. I'm not progressing, coach, or you're not playing me enough. I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah, it's funny.
You and I got deep about that on Monday.
Yes. Yeah, because Hunter, you weren't there, but I was telling him, I'm coaching a freshman team right now. This has definitely been the hardest coaching job of my career so far. I'm coaching kids that, private school kids, and I'll keep it blunt because I'll say this to their face. I have no problem saying it. These kids don't want to work. These kids don't know how to handle adversity. These kids don't know how to push through the wall. The moment something hard comes up into their careers as athletes, they want to stop because they've been catered so much by their parents. I blame a lot of the attitudes of current players on their parents, because if your child is out there on the court doing a bunch of BS, you as a parent are enabling it by going home. You're like, oh, it's okay, son. It's all right. Next time. You did a great job. No, you didn't do a great job. You were in the game. You had 3 fouls, scored 2 points, and had 4 turnovers. That's a terrible game. And I'm tired of parents going home and enabling this kind of play by their kids. It's not good. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. I'm so tired of seeing kids go out onto a basketball court and you're in warm-ups and you working on step backs and spin moves and Euro steps. My boy, you can't make a basic 2-handed layup. You can't make a wide open jump shot, yet you working on a step back. You can't make a simple crossover, but you working on combo moves. My boy, get the crossover down first. Get a stationary right-handed dribble down first. You know how many kids now can't play using both hands? If you're in high school and you don't know how to use both hands, quit. Quit. I'm serious. Quit. Because you ain't got it, bro. You ain't got it. You ain't got it. If you're a freshman and you can't use both hands of the bat, quit. Because next year, you're going to have even more guys who've been working on their games, who are already at that level, playing JV, looking to play varsity. And when you get to that level, you're going to be so far behind, you're not even going to get the playing time. And then what happens? Oh, I'm not playing. Oh, coach isn't putting me in. Oh, coach isn't looking for me to go into the game. I think I should quit. I've had it happen 6 times already this year. I've had 6 kids quit my team. 6 kids. And it ain't because of me. It ain't because of me. It's because of the work ethic. It's because of the attention to detail that they don't have.
These are rich kids too, right? If I remember you telling me.
Yeah, most of these kids be coming to school in Teslas and all that other kind of junk. It's bad, man. But I blame the parents. The parents are truly the problem with this new generation of athletes. It's them. And I place the blame on nobody else. I really don't. And we have to get better at pushing the initiative for these kids to push through adversity. Because with me, I don't give a shit about basketball. I want to know what you're going to do in life. The moment something bad happens, like you don't get the promotion you want, right? You don't get the job that you want immediately. You start from the bottom. You're just going to quit because you don't get what you want at that time. And I'm speaking of experience because I've been there. I wanted to quit numerous times. I'm not playing. Maybe I should stop playing basketball. But then you don't want to quit and then have that thought in your head like, damn, if I would have just, maybe I could have put a little bit more work in. Maybe if I did, work on my jump shot a little bit more. Maybe if I did work on my conditioning a little bit more. Maybe if I did watch film a little bit more, I would get better. You got parents recording their kids' games, freaking 40-minute basketball game. Your kids scored 10 points, and all they worried about is, ooh, when did I shoot? When did I shoot? When did I score? When did I score? What about that time you missed a cut? What about that time you turned the ball over? What about that time you weren't in the right spot on the defensive rotation? They don't pay attention to any of that. It's highlights. It's all they care about. Highlights, and not work.
So even though I never played basketball, this conversation's kind of I'm thinking about everything you're saying here, and it's taken me back to when I was doing like Little League and stuff, right? Because I remember like I would go to like practice, or I would go to games, or even when my dad in my backyard would like try to help me on my swing and shit. And man, I my attitude towards that whole thing back then was like, man, I don't even want to do this right now. I want to go back inside. What the fuck I don't want to do this. And then when I would get on the field, my mom would jokes about with me all the time. She's like, "Oh, you used to play with the ants in the outfield, just kill all the ants and shit that you see crawling around. You didn't care." I had some glimmers of hope here and there. Like I had some moments where I did really well, even when I did wrestling in middle school in 8th grade. I wish I could have applied myself more, but my problem is like my conditioning was shit, and I tried as hard as I could, but god damn it, I was a fat fuck in middle school, let's be honest. And the only time I ever got wins was because of forfeits in my weight class. That's the only time I ever won. I only ever had one good match in my time in wrestling. And that was just because everybody was already so well ahead of the game that it was like, I could try to apply myself to the best of my ability, but God damn it, in wrestling practice, I was ragdolled by some of the guys on my team, dude. And I think I tried a little bit harder in wrestling, but man, my conditioning and my strength at that point in my life was not where it needed to be doing that kind of sport. And that's my fault. I can look back on that and be like, man, I'm hearing everything you're saying, and I wish I could have applied myself more. Maybe things would have turned out differently.
And that's why I said what I said. Once it's over, then you start to look back and, you start to look at the habits that you didn't have. And that's one thing that I can attest to, in my basketball career. I don't think many people have dealt with as much adversity when it comes to a sport like I had. I had to have hip surgery when I was 12. I got cut from the 8th grade basketball team. And when you get cut from the 8th grade team, you're going into high school, your mental health is so fucked because it's like, well, if I don't make the 8th grade team, how am I going to make it in high school? At that point, you're at a crossroads and you have a decision to make. You either sit there and sulk and complain that you didn't make it, or you go to the gym, you shut the fuck up, and you put the work in. And that's what I did. I told my kids this last year. I coach a group of 8th graders right now. They're all going to go to Hillsborough next year, most of them. And I told them, I said, there's 13 of you. I said, look to your left and look to your right. In the next 4 years, when you guys graduate from high school, you guys will not all be here. Some of you are going to fall off. Some of you are going to fall in love with other sports. Some of you are going to fall in love with girls. Some of y'all are going to fall in love with school. And you're going to have other interests that just isn't basketball. And when that happens, how are you going to react? Because the higher and higher you get in whatever sports you are, there's going to be better players. There's going to be better athletes. And you have to know what your game is. You got to know your role. And if you don't know your role, by the time you get to high school, it's too late. It's too late. There are too many kids that are trying to do things that are out of their skill set, out of their skill level, and it takes away from the progress they could actually be making as a player. And that's really what's killing youth sports right now. I'm a big advocate for youth sports. I think every child should try as many sports as you can, because sports builds character. I've never felt like any other sport builds more character than basketball does. And I'm not saying this just because I'm a basketball player. I tell my kids this quote all the time. I said, basketball is forgiving and forgetting. It's forgiving because you can make a mistake and then come right back and redeem yourself. You can miss a layup, go back down and get a charge, get a block, get a steal, get a defensive stop, right? Or you can get a turnover and come back and get a bucket. It's possible. But it's forgetting, because the moment you make a mistake, it's not like in football, you get a turnover. All right, I go off the field and I can come back next play. No, you get a turnover. You got to sprint right back on defense and mental reset and worry about the next play. Got to worry about the next play. There's always opportunities, but so many kids get caught up in, oh, I messed up. Oh, I missed a shot. I was watching this podcast the other day with Billy Donovan. And Billy Donovan and this other guy, they talked about a story where a kid went 3 for 11 from the field and he played 32 minutes. So the kid was sulking, didn't have a great game. Billy had asked him, he's like, how long does it take you to take a shot? I said, oh, about 1 second, which is normal, 1.5 seconds to shoot. So you let 11 seconds of basketball determine an entire 32 minutes of play. That's such an interesting way to look at it. That's such an interesting way to look at the game. You let one play determine the rest of your game.
You know, if we really want to get really deep about it, some people let little instances affect their whole lives. Think about life as a game, you know? You have one bad day, it's like the rest of your life is in shambles after that point. It's a real fucked up mental thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if I can segue into something that I've been wanting to talk about, if that's okay with you, gentlemen.
Yeah, we should.
Because I've been reading some stories the last day. And it's been really fucking bothering me. And one of those things where it's like, there are players out there that do things that will affect the rest of their lives. Well, boy, have I got a fucked up story to tell you. So last episode, we talked a little bit about sexual assaults or sex pests in sports. I don't know if you heard that episode, Dante. You weren't there last week, unfortunately. So this past week, there's been a story that's been breaking for hockey. And I know me and Hunter are big hockey people, but this just makes me sick. Apparently, there are 5 former World Junior hockey players from Canada who have been told to surrender themselves to the police in London, Ontario, to face sexual assault charges in a high-profile case that has embroiled the sport's governing body in controversy. This is, by the way, from CBC.ca, which is a Canadian.
Are you reading this? I thought you were speaking off the dome. Like, damn, man. No. I see you.
I appreciate the fact that you thought I was good for that. But so here's my understanding of this story. 5 players who are currently in the NHL, right, as we speak, were on the Canadian juniors hockey team. And I guess at some point during the juniors tournament, they all had some way, shape, and form had a role in gang raping a woman. And I'm sorry to say that way, or I'll say sexual assault or SA, because I know it might trigger some people. And I've been seeing the response to all this whole thing. And it just makes me sick because as I was reading these stories, I thought about a lot of my friends. I don't know about you guys, but I know a few people that have been sexually assaulted in their lives, even raped in some points. And it makes me sick, dude, that people like that have been allowed to play a sport for so long, knowing that these allegations have been out there. And the fact that from 2018 to now, which is 2024, it's taken this long for this type of due process to take place.
Oh, it was that long ago? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it makes me feel a certain way. I'm not going to name any names, but some of these people who I've been friends with, I didn't even know until they started telling their stories about it on social media. They never told me. And I reach out to them. I say, I didn't know this. And I'm so sorry that this is bringing this type of feeling up to you.
I could tell a personal story, man.
If you want, if you feel comfortable that way.
I'm always comfortable being open. Everybody's got their own story. Now, I was a victim of sexual assault at one point.
Really?
Yeah, I was back in middle school.
Fuck.
And I'm standing in the lunch line, and this dude, I'm not gonna name his name, but it's always just right here. Standing in lunch, and for some reason, he just decided to grab my dick. And, think about it now. At the time, I was just like, fuck, right? You just grab my dick, like in just the middle of lunch. And I went to the principal. I remember I walked out into the lunchroom in the cafeteria, and I told one of my teachers, and I pointed the dude out. He was like, "What? Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah, it happened and everything." And I remember going down to the principal's office, and I told him what happened. And before I even got down to the principal's office, this dude and the girl that he was coercing with went down there, basically saved their asses before I even got there. And the vice principal was basically trying to tell me what happened didn't really happen. And the kid was protected. Dude got protected. I think his punishment, he got suspended the first 3 games of the lacrosse season. And I don't want to make it seem like lacrosse players are the only ones that do this kind of stuff, but I've also experienced another situation when I was in college, and I had a friend of mine when I was at a party. She was getting dragged across the floor, drunk off her ass, could not walk. Clearly, this dude was taking her to the bathroom, and I grabbed him. I said, "Yo, what the fuck you doing?" He's like, oh, we were just gonna go talk. I'm like, talk, bro. She's not even walking. You're dragging her across the floor. I pinned him against the wall. Now, mind you, this dude is much bigger than me. 6'3", 6'4", big buff lacrosse dude. Put him against the wall. I'm like, yo, he was drunk, so he really couldn't handle himself. I'm like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my bad, my bad. I'm like, no, bro, like, this isn't fucking cool. So he ends up leaving the party. When he left, I left. Now you fuck with one of my friends. I saw it. I saw what you were doing. I went back to my dorm. I got my posse. I told him, yo, we going to his dorm room. You knew I meant business. We walked up to his dorm room, knocked on the door. I banged. I was like, get up. Wouldn't get up. So door happened to be unlocked, and I went in there, and he was coked the fuck out. Coked up. I mean, dude was on the bed, unconscious as fuck. I was shaking him, he wouldn't get up. So he ended up hearing that I went to his room or whatever, and he started making crazy threats. He was talking shit about me on the internet. He was like going to my old Instagram posts and he's like, yo, I'm coming for you, pussy. He's like, yo, why you ignoring me? Why you running away? One time he went to my room and left a note on my door. He was like, I'm ready for you whenever you need. I'm like, ready for me? Trying to fuck me, bro? Like, the fuck? Like, stop on some weird shit. And it's like, when you see these things and when you experience them, it's hard to fathom that somebody would legitimately intentionally try to take advantage of somebody in that way and think there should be no consequences. And some of these people,
there are people, honestly, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm seeing on Twitter that there are people making excuses for all these players in this particular situation.
Yeah, man.
There are people making excuses for it. And the league has been hiding the NHL. When I say the league, the NHL was fucking hiding it for the longest time. There are people out there that fucking make excuses and shit. And listen, I'm not usually when I see stories like this, and I'll be honest, I've said this before, I am not one to pass judgment right away because I usually let due process take its course. And then I form my opinions based on what I hear from there. I'm sick, dude. I'm sick. I've seen a lot of fuck. I've seen a lot of my friends get hurt from this shit, dog.
Yeah, man.
It hurts. Sorry, I fucking cried. I never cried on this fucking show, but God, it hurts.
It shit hurts, and
you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. It fucking sucks.
And then you got people that, will, and I hate to say this, but you hear stories like this that actually happen, right?
Yeah.
And then you got people who, and it's because I've experienced it, that will just say shit just to see what happens. You know what I mean?
There are people out there that do that. I've seen that too over the course of the year.
They'll be like, oh, he touched me. She touched me. I feel uncomfortable. Sexual assault. Immediately. And it's like, first of all, no. But also on top of that, why would you want to say something so serious that's not only detrimental towards you, but detrimental towards the person that you're accusing of these things? And when the shit isn't even true, it still affects this person. And you just move on like life is lovely and nothing happened to the person that you accused. And then on top of that, then there are the real stories that come out. And it makes it harder for people to believe the victim because now you have so many. Think about it now when you go to the gym. You walk by a girl and she just thinks you did something. They're going to report it. They're going to say something. They're going to go over social media. Oh, go after this person.
That's if they're recording for TikTok too, which is even worse because it's a wider audience.
Yeah. And then it's like just these streams of white lies that get people put in situations where it's hard to come out of. It's hard to interact with others because you got like a label that you don't deserve, and it's not fair. It's not right. I've literally had some friends. I had a friend a couple years ago that basically got accused of raping this chick or whatever. And she was telling, yeah, he raped me, blah, 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 blah. Then like maybe a month or two later, Oh, I was just upset. It didn't really happen. You were just upset. So you say that, and then that dude he has to live. He has to walk differently. He has to talk differently. He has to live life differently because people see him in this way. And the thing that people don't realize is that you can't take that shit back. You can't take that shit back. Whether you said you was capping or not, you can't take it back. It's been said. It's been done. Now that person got to deal with it. And then they constantly have to explain themselves. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. And that's why I feel for a lot of athletes that this happens to sometimes when they get accused of something. Because why? Because a girl wants money. Girl wants attention. Girl wants clout. And I'm not blaming all women or all men who make these accusations. Not all are false, but there are a lot of fallacies in a lot of people's stories, and their motives aren't always just. Their motives aren't always just. It's, I want to get a rise out of this person, or they know, girls know they have a certain power when it comes to sexual assault, when it comes to rape, when it comes to uncomfortability. When you flip the script, I remember years ago when Terry Crews came out and said that he had been sexually assaulted by people in Hollywood. Man, they clowned his ass.
I was going to say, didn't they clowned him for a while for that, didn't they?
Years they clowned his ass. You're this big, buff, black dude. How you getting? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? If Ronda Rousey got sexually assaulted, or any of be like, oh, she's a wrestler. You ain't saying that. God.
Well, look at all the shit. If I can build off of that, look at all the shit that came out about Vince McMahon and the WWE in the past just the last 24 hours. You hear about that? Hunter, you hear about that?
Yeah, the sex trafficking and all that kind
sex
of stuff.
Trafficking and all that shit. And then like a lot of these people were not only just employees, but a lot of them were wrestlers too. Look at the Ashley Mazzaro story. That woman, I remember where I was the day. Yeah, like I remember where I was the day I found out that she killed herself. I was like a few days away from graduating college, and I found out that this whole thing, she killed herself because of this whole sexual assault story that she had forced to keep quiet about. And I guess it finally took its toll. And then shit like that happens, and you just can't take it anymore because nobody was going to believe her at that point anyway, maybe.
Yeah, this whole WWE thing is wild. And the woman who filed the lawsuit, which this is her, by the way, because I have text messages from the lawsuit from Vince McMahon, in which, let me just say this. Dude does not know how to spell pussy. He spells it Pussey multiple times, okay? And I'll send it in the group chat too, but
I don't even know if I don't even want to read them, to be honest. I can't even read any screenshots. I'm just so sick to my stomach about it. But
and the thing is, this is from 2020. This was 4 years ago. It's wild.
Hey man, Vince is an evil motherfucker. I swear to God.
He's got a weird fetish with seeing that woman get railed by BBC. Literally, he's like,
and this is why we got to get. He's like, and listen, we laugh, we chuckle about it because it's so fucking ridiculous. But this is the type of shit that actually happens, and it's not funny. It you know what this whole conversation reminds me of? It reminds me of one of our very, very, very early episodes when the whole Roe v. Wade thing came to thing. Yep. We had an episode with Protect Our Women. That's at least what I titled it, if I remember correctly. And I'll quote something from Panama. This is like, I know a lot of times we clown women for whatever fucking reason on this show because sometimes it's funny, but and even then, not every woman's a queen, but god damn it, they all deserve protection. They do. And it sucks that I have to read stories and see all my friends talk about their fucking experiences because it's traumatizing for them. And some of them thought they healed from it, and then they read all these stories and it's like, oh, I didn't heal from it.
And men deserve protection too.
Oh, they do. Don't get me wrong. They also do too.
And I just to chime in, I never ever dwell on my situation. Never have. But when I look back on past experiences, right? I think about this all the time, man. You know how many times I've had girls just touch my booty, just grab it. Like, oh damn, Dante, you got a fat ass. And like at the time, I'm like, yo, can y'all chill? Like y'all talking. like talking about my butt and everything. Like, girls, not talking about God, girls, that friends that I've had, you know, girls that I've just met, like all like, what if the roles were reversed? What if the roles were reversed?
You go to jail.
I just like, and when those things happen to guys, it's just like, oh, we're just playing around, is what it is. What if Matt's just playing around? What if I'm just playing? What if Hunter's just playing around? Nah, you can't do that. Nah, you intercepted her private space. You know, you intercepted her bubble, bro. You can't do you can't just be going around touching girls. You can't do that A, B, and C. You're right. But girls can't go around just touching dudes whenever they want to. You know, you see a hot guy, like, oh, you instantly want to grab his pecs and touch him and squeeze him, and then you want to touch his biceps. Or can't do that to girls. But for some reason, men don't have a bubble. Men don't have a space. It's just like we can get violated, we can get talked about, we can get hit, we can get shot at, all in between. But it's never taken as seriously as when it happens to a female. And I think that's got to change. There should not be a catch-22 when it comes to protection of people's private space. It shouldn't.
We get told to toughen up when that happens to us. That's essentially what happens.
Yep. I remember when the shit
we get
happened.
told stop being a bitch.
Yep. When that shit happened in 7th grade, bro, do you know how much hate I got from other guys at school? One of these dudes actually was my basketball teammate. And I remember this. I think about this all the time because it's so vivid in my mind. I'm at my locker getting something out the locker, and dude comes up to me. He said, yo, Dante, I just want to let you know, bro, like, I'm not mad at you anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I mean, you know, you got so-and-so suspended from the team, and he was just joking around with you. It really wasn't that serious, but like, you know, we're playing well right now, so I'm not mad at you anymore, but like, I really was pissed at you at the time.
How the fuck do you just say that?
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, at the time, I kind of wanted to cry because I'm like, damn, bro.
I don't blame you.
Dude violated me. Violated the fuck out of me. It wasn't because it was a dude. It was just because I got violated, and like, no one gave a fuck. And people made jokes. I got made fun. And this was before social media was really just, you know, on the up and up, you know. And I think about it now, and I'm like, damn, this would have happened now, bro. I would have got crucified. Like Snapchat, Twitter. You know, you think about things like this, and you never think it could happen to you. You never think it could happen to you. And when it does, it's like, fuck. And if it happens to a girl, it's like, well, they got the protection. They can go out on social media. Everyone's going to protect them, male and female. Fuck that guy. He's a piece of shit. They don't know any of the information, but because she said it, it's true. But when we say it, oh, come on, bro. You let her do that to you. Come on, man. You could have pushed her off. If I push her off, then I'm assaulting her, right? I put my hands on a female. And this is why men should be able to hit women. I've been telling you all for the longest time. This is why
Relax. We can't just have that conversation. Just say that. Come on.
This is exactly why. This is exactly why. Like, come on, guys. On some funny shit, but on some serious shit, right? If a girl smacks you in the face, based on the criteria of what women say, right? Shouldn't a guy be able to hit her back? The answer for them is going to be no. Why? Because men are stronger, and that's unfair. Well, how is it unfair for guys to hit a girl back, but you can hit me with no consequences, and I can't do anything back to you? Remember when Mike said he'd throw a girl across the room? I ain't doing all that shit. This ain't WWE, bitch. No.
Powerbomb.
No. This is the last fight of the night. This is the main event. You hit me, I'm going Mike Tyson. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, obviously, I'm joking. I have no reason to hit a woman. But why isn't that talked about more? Why is it always a narrative?
That should only be, if worst come to absolute worst, that should be like an egregious instance where you feel like you have to defend yourself at some point.
Right, but it's like, yo, bro, if a girl full on punches me in the face, due to modern not even modern standards, just standards between men and women, I'm supposed to just take it. If I grab her, I'm assaulting her. If I hit her back, I go to jail. and it's assault. Like, when and where do men get the same equality that women are talking about? Yes, you deserve equal pay. Yes, you deserve equal opportunity. There should be no reason why a man should get a job or a man should get more money over a woman just because of his gender. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Because if I go into a job, I got a BS and I have half a year of experience. This girl's got a master's degree. She's got internships. She's been working at a job for 3-4 years. And we're both going for the same job. And I get it just because I'm a guy and you think I'm more capable because I'm a male. That doesn't make any sense. She's more qualified for the job. She should get it.
And imagine the whole with like, say, the color of the skin too. Like, you, and I'm not saying this would be the case, but you probably would get it because you're black.
Right? Well, you against affirmative action, nigga?
I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying that might be a factor.
The true colors are showing there, man.
Again, it could be. I'll shut up.
I'm just saying, my friend, he applied for a social media position at some company, and then
OnlyFans?
No, it wasn't OnlyFans. But shout out to the motorcycle guy, cutting me off. No, so there were 5 people who got the job. 1 guy, okay, he was black, and then 4 women. Even though my friend was more qualified than a couple of the women, they somehow got the job over him.
Do you know how many fucking jobs I've applied to over the course of the last several months since I lost my last job? A lot. Nothing.
Yeah. Stuff.
And even if I'm not entirely qualified, I will still apply just for the hope of getting an opportunity to better my resume. And even then I get told to fuck myself. So
quick story. I was working at the Y. You remember I was working at the YMCA?
Yeah, I remember that. Last year, yeah.
When I went for the interview for the job, I was supposed to be getting like a head counselor position. I was supposed to be running the CITs, right? And they told me I'd be working with this female who wasn't particularly liked by everybody. She just wasn't.
I remember this.
She wasn't mature enough in order to, to really run the kids by herself. So when I got the job, they told me all the things I was supposed to do, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, bet, I'm prepared. Let's get it done. Let's do it. As the job was going on, this girl was trying to tell me what to do. She's saying, no, we don't do things like that or whatever. Then when I go to my boss, who happens to be a female, she had this girl's back. She was like, well, you should listen to her. She's been here longer. And I'm like, that's not the job you hired me for. So you're going to protect her. And meanwhile, the kids hated her. I saw one of my kids the other day from camp, and I was there for 2 weeks. Oh,
this is when we started the fucking podcast.
Yep. I was there for 2 weeks, man. She was like, "Bro, Dante, I wish you never left." Because I guess the girl was working there this summer again. It was the same bullshit. And what I was told was my approach to the kids wasn't what the YMCA saw as beneficial. Why? Because I'm treating them like young adults. Because for some reason you can't treat kids like young adults anymore. You have to treat them like babies. I gotta walk a 13-year-old kid across the street. I gotta take a 13, 14-year-old kid to the bathroom. If I let it happen, doctor, you can't do that. The kids, they're not gonna be safe. They're fucking 13, bro. Treat them like adults. You're literally coercing them to have an adult-like job, which is be a counselor for younger children, which is a mature job, and I can't treat them like mature young adults as they are.
And worse, and even worse, they're 13, 14-year-old kids on a 6th grade fucking reading level. Because that's how fucking shit that education's gone.
God, we don't even have to get into that shit.
Well, that's a whole different conversation for another podcast, but I know you got to dip pretty soon. So if you want me to go to
Coach Daint got to go do his thing, man. Gotta go inspire the youth.
Coach Daint is like the Wu-Tang for the kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm for the kids, man. I'm for the kids.
Anyway,
and I think we touched a lot of important topics here today. And in closing, I just want people to know that women, you matter. Men, you matter. And this ain't on no funny shit. More people need to realize that they matter. You do matter. There might be some people out there that don't like you, but somebody loves you. Somebody cares about you. Somebody got your back. It might not be everybody. There's a lot of snakes out there. A lot of fakes. Somebody loves you. Somebody cares about you. Somebody got your back. Don't think you alone. Don't think you alone. Because I'm sure 3 of us, we've all been in that situation at some point where we feel alone and no one's there for us. And it's just us against the world. It's not. That's just that mental block you got going on. There's somebody out there that gives a fuck. Just ain't me. All right, guys.
God damn it. You were so wholesome. You couldn't stay wholesome for 2 seconds.
Like, oh, gotcha.
Got him.
Almost did it. It'll be quicker than that.
On that note, I love you guys. Anyway.
Same here, man.
Man. Thank you guys for checking out episode 69 of the Bromigos podcast. We greatly appreciate you being here. It's nice that we've been able to talk about some more deeper shit in recent weeks because I feel like we're always trying to be funny. We're always trying to be entertaining, but I feel like it kind of prevents us from talking about the real things going on in the world sometimes. That's just my opinion.
Amen.
I'm glad we're having these conversations. I know a lot of people that listen to the show appreciate it. So if you still want to continue to listen to the show and hear all the funny stuff that we've done in the past too, find us on your favorite podcast platforms like Apple, Spotify, Good Pods, so on and so forth. YouTube, I'll get to the YouTube in a second, but YouTube also now airs the audio of the Bromigos podcast on Monday. So
ain't nobody listen to that shit. Just watch the video on Wednesday.
You can also watch the video as well if you want to watch.
I don't have the attention span. We know.
You can follow us on Twitter at Bromigos Pod, Instagram and Facebook, The Bromigos Pod, TikTok, The Bromigos Podcast. Who would like to talk more in depth about the YouTube? If you have anything else funny to say about that,
I'm not gonna hold you, bro. I'm holding a fart right now. I want us to finish this shit up.
All well and good. If you don't subscribe to the YouTube, Daint will fucking let loose on this camera, and nobody wants to hear or see that. So
that's on his end. That's not on our end.
Yeah, but God only knows. Like he lets it go, and we probably could smell it. Fucking
Matt, hurry up!
I got it. Last but not least, Full Swap Radio, Sunday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. We love you guys. We appreciate you. God bless. Peace.
You've been listening to the Bromigos Podcast.
Fuck you, and I'll see you tomorrow.
I beat her! That's okay! She'll be back. Another